Greetings. First, I want to give thanks and praise to the Most High. Give thanks for life, and again, give thanks to Tony Barber Shop, the most conscious barber shop in the UK. And I said that with no, give big talk to me because there's no shop like this where people come in and express themselves. So I give thanks to Brother Tony, one of my closest friends. Inside the hot seat, we do have our beautiful sister, Ava Williams, and she'll be touching a little about domestic violence. And the reason why she'll be touching this because the last 6 weeks we've been talking this on different kind of radio station, and also we had a workshop talking about the whole thing about abusive relationship. And Ava was one of the speakers, and she's done a very powerful presentation, and really was moving. In fact, some people there was crying, was very taken back by the information Ava shared and what other people shared. Anyway, Ava, the first thing, let's big you up. How you keep you all right though?
Yes, I am. Thank you for having me.
Oh, fantastic. Well, Ava, as you know, we're touching a little about domestic violence, right, abusive relationships and so forth, right? And obviously you probably share a little bit about your journey as well, but why is it that we in this kind of, why is it, these things happen, Let's go straight to the chase.
Well, that's a question that was asked. Someone asked me that question yesterday. It's you can't comprehend. I still don't understand why these things happen, but they do. It's frightening though. On the level that is happening, a lot of people don't even know that they're experiencing it. After the last event, there were people who came to me, people who started calling me, telling me that, oh wow, I've actually had experiences where I'm not sure that this was happening. And now that you have explained really what it is, because a lot of people have the misconception that domestic violence is only physical. And that is one of the biggest problems. They're not really educated about the full knowledge. They don't have the full knowledge of what domestic violence really is, and that is one of the problems, one of our biggest problems. I also think though, the manipulation bit of it, a lot of people are in relationships and they're not even sure that they're being manipulated. They think the other person has a right to their opinion, which they do at some degree. And there are people who are actually manipulating situations and they're not sure that they're doing it. They don't see how wrong it is. Because as far as they're concerned, it is their opinion and they're stating their opinion. And according to someone I know, he said, everyone is selfish. All I'm asking for is what I want, and I use whatever means to get it. But it's up to you who's receiving it to actually identify and take a stand. And if you sometimes take a stand, which has been my experience, I've had one ex that I've realized how it is. And if you actually take a stand, they're saying, well, you're making too much out of it. It's nothing.
But let me just jump in there because just to ride on to what you're saying, that I interviewed a sister about the same thing about domestic violence and abuse, and she said this, right, that she thought it was normal when definitely they were married, she was saying that, right, it was normal when her boyfriend loses his temper to box her, slap her up and everything, right? He sort of when traffic killer put her around her neck and did try to kill her, she realized that, boy, I forget this kind of relationship, and she said to me, Dougie, I had to do a lot of work on myself. But, it kind of tells me what you say, because some people feel it's just, yes, people think it's normal for someone just to box them up, and because they box them, they love me, and you see what I'm saying? But I just wanted to run what you're saying. What,
Can I just say, some of that stems from childhood. And parents have a big responsibility, which we're not taking the responsibility for what we teach our kids. They say children live what they learn. And a lot of parents who are in these relationships where they have these controlling men or women, and the children sees this, they think it's normal. It's a part of who they are. And there are kids who are not affected by this, but there are lots of a case who thinks it's acceptable for a man to beat a woman or a woman to beat a man or to talk to them in a certain sense. And so, because this is happening, this is what they've seen. They hear, oh, I have to stay with your dad because of you as a child. My mom stayed with my dad. My dad used to beat my mom, but my mom stood with it because of us. And so they go on and they form relationships with the same and accept the same things, and they see it as a pattern.
Yes,
We now have to break that pattern. Not just that, we need to spread the word. We need to spread the word that domestic violence is not only physical. Physical is one of the easiest things to identify and move away from. And whilst it is very dangerous, so is mental, emotional, financial. All of these are people taking advantage of situation, making people feel like they're less of a person, intimidating, manipulating people for their own use.
Okay then. I want to jump in here because, is it, if, say for example, there's women who's in abusive relationship and, where can they go to get some kind of help? I mean,
the good thing is that there's a lot of organizations out there now who where they can actually get help. They offer help and advice for these things. One that comes to mind is Soulless Women's Aid. They've been in action for a long time. There's a lot out there. But you can go on Google and find these things. There's a line called Advice Line. If you look on Google, you will see Advice Line. Just look it up. I don't have the information in my hand at this moment for the numbers. But if you have certain questions, if you have to question certain things, then you might need advice. If you're not quite sure, if you think that if you're in a relationship and you're being abused, if you're being hit or talked down to, or being made feel less than of a person, if you think, oh, he's only angry because he hit me. If you think, oh, he only said that because I made him upset. He only hit me because he was drunk, or because he was sleeping and I made some noise, or because I did not do the cooking. If you have to start making this excuse for a man or a woman, because it is not, domestic violence is not limited to gender. It is not. And a lot of times there's a lot of men who are actually facing it and they dare not say. You know what I mean? One of the other,
they feel shame in it.
It is really an embarrassing thing. Even as a woman, there are certain things that I would, in my experience, no matter how much I'm an advocate for people who suffer from that, I will not talk about. There's the whole emotional thing that is really, really deep. But there's sexual violence, sexual abuse in a marriage. Or in a relationship. You know what I mean? There's some really embarrassing things. How do you go and tell someone, I've been sexually abused by my partner? You're married, and it's just like a lot of people who's going through rape and that, to go to the police and then you go to court and you're actually facing the person who's done the rape. You're facing the accuser, the person who you're saying, and then you have to actually describe this kind of thing and describe what happened. Can you imagine you saying, oh, my wife raped me? Could you imagine? And the judge asking, and then you have become, you who is the victim have become, the defense, so it's
become like a laughing stock, really, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
And a lot of people ask questions. It's like, people have spoken to a lot of people who they didn't know these things. They didn't know these things. They didn't know that rape can actually happen in a marriage, because and I've been this big advocate for this thing called spousal visa, which is one of the biggest things that facilitates slavery. We're still going through slavery. that people are taking their partners over with no recourse to public funds and are being abused. And their attitude is just like, you know what, I can't get out of this house because if I try to come out, sometimes they're fleeing from a situation from where you come from. Yes. And you get here, and the whole point is to make things better.
Yeah.
So we subject, sometimes I was talking to someone yesterday and they said, well, these women, you know, they subject themselves to these things because obviously you can go back where you come from. What's stopping you? There's no war happening there. There's no kind of terror. But you feel like, all right, you have an opportunity. Does that give the other person the right?
Right.
Is that giving the other person the right to actually abuse you? And I thought, no, but you're taking the whole thing away from one person and you're shifting the blame. There should even be no blame because no, it should not be allowed. It should not be allowed.
I want to jump in there and look at the whole thing about, you know, domestic violence and abuse, etc. And one thing is what people said, when I'm talking to people, it comes down to a lack of love from oneself. Yeah?
That is where it starts.
That's
but
it
it's
starts.
not just lack of love for oneself. Sometimes it's that. But it's, you know, the whole... There's a technique, these abusers, the people who abuse people, there's a technique that they use. They isolate you.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
They take you, before they don't take you away from your friends, this is what they do. They won't say to you, you know, you can't go out with your friends or you can't go see your family, you know. They'll present a better opportunity. They'll produce, they'll present a bonding time. You normally go out on a Tuesday or a Monday night. Oh, darling, I'm going to take you for dinner tonight. So it's you have now to choose between your partner and your friends or family. And like, oh, you can go out with them next week. But next week it says, oh, we'll go to the movie. I booked a movie for you. So you find out that they're occupying your time. They're taking you, before they don't do that, they create problems within the family. And then they take you away. Now, when they take you away, you have no kind of social circle because they have become your life. Seriously dangerous. That is one of the first things that you should notice with a man. When he starts being too nice to you, I think it was Nigel Beckles that talked about love bombing. When they start taking you over for themselves, you know that is going to be a problem. And sometimes they do a bit further than that. They take you out of your community, move you gone to another place. Now you have no social circle, so they isolate you. And then you become vulnerable because if they talk, you're very scared because you can't go back then to your family because of the shame, and we need to drop some of that pride. You can't go back to your family, you know, and then they change. Sometimes they drastically change, and sometimes it's over time.
You know something, you're right there, you know, because I've got a friend of mine, right? You know, we're quite close in fact, right? And she met this guy, right? And you know, they move in, you know, they bought a place. I don't know what, they rent a place and they live together anyway, right? In a short period of about 2 months, right? And you know, just felt very happy and comfortable, right? And you know what's interesting? When I spoke to her dad, I said, how's you doing getting on and blah blah. He goes, oh, she's alright, she's doing her own thing and blah blah blah, right? Anyway, I didn't see her for about 2 years, right? Anyway, she split from the guy, right? And it was quite messy, I understand, very, very messy, right? And then when I spoke to my friend goes to me, Dougie, what it was that, there's something strange about the guy. There's something strange about him. And they kind of warned her about him. But, you know, you're in love and everything. And the other guy said to me, Dougie, there was something strange about him, you know, something strange about him. And basically just messed her up. And it's quite true what you said, because what they do, they bomb you with all this love thing and make you feel good and take you somewhere, and when they have you in a different kind of environment, that's not coming into nastiness, so to speak. You know, but you're right in what you said.
First they empower you, they make you feel like you've got this power. You have the choices to do whatever you want, but they show you as much love and support until they've suckered you in. When they've got you now, and they've separated you, isolated you from your family and friends, you've got nowhere to go to. So they're able to do what they want to do with you. And then because of shame and everything else, you don't really want to go back. You want to show independence sometimes. And this is what kills a lot of people. But Solace Women's Aid was one of the companies that actually helped me. So
what they call?
Solace Women's Aid. And they're coming from Women's Aid. There's a lot of them. They've been going for a while. They provide advice, advocacy, a refuge if you're in trouble. If your partner is becoming so abusive, they provide refuges where you and anonymous. Even if you're having problems and you need an advice, you don't have to call with your line open. You could get your number private and make a call. Just call anonymously and ask for help. Just ask for information. You'll get the information you need. Please, people, just don't live in these situations. I was one of the lucky ones who came out, and even after I came out, mentally I was destroyed. You know, my life, I'm one of the lucky ones. And how many people are here in the UK today living with partners who are being abusive? So a friend of mine, Yolanda Shillingford, she has an event on the 27th of July, and it's to raise money to go towards Solace Women's Aid. Look for her on Facebook, and if you can buy, the event will be a black tie event in Edmonton at Millfields Theatre. I don't have the number, but if you look up Yolanda Shillingford, you'll find the information. Also, you can find me on Facebook as well if you need numbers, if you're not able to do certain things and you need numbers. You can find me on Facebook. My name is Elva Williams, and you can find me there. Just send me a message and I'll respond. I always respond to my messages.
Okay then. Well, again, my sister, it's good to have you inside the house. I'm definitely want to invite you again to share some more insight you're talking about relationships and abusive relationships, and relationship in general, because it's not about look at the problem, but also look at the way forward as well,
Yes.
And because we do need healing. Each one need healing.
Yes.
So again, sister, give thanks for having us.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. Enough respect.
Give thanks.